also have been having issues with my microphones. I'm not very impressed with Blue Yeti so far. I'm not sure if it is just the microphone, but I do know that it has like shorts in the cord. And my Fifine, I used that for the last video that I made, and I think it sounded like it sounded kind of funny also. But while I have the time, it is actually evening here. Surprisingly, I usually do my videos at night. So it's like evening here, and the sun's still out, even though it is starting to set earlier and earlier. But yeah, so those are two things that have been preventing me from making videos. So if you guys can please just bear with me. I do try really hard, and I want to have live streams and everything, and I want to make really good content, and I have some ideas, especially for Halloween. So just bear with me, please. So Halloween is my favorite holiday, and it's my birthday month, and so I really like October. I also like the beginning of fall. I don't like winter, but I like fall. And so yeah, I figure instead of reading some scary stories, which I probably will on another day, or night, I should say, I have this, you can't see it because it's backwards, but Irish fairy tales, and then I also have some facts for you guys, some information that I don't know if a lot of people know or not, unless if you're Irish or Hispanic. So basically, Halloween is based off of the Irish, I want to say holiday, Samhain, and it's not spelled the way that it sounds. I believe it's spelled Samhain. I've done so much research and reading on it that I actually am just taking information from my head. So, Samhain is a time that was not a very good time, according to Irish folklore. It was a time when the others came to visit, and if you were not locked in your house, or I believe wearing a mask to blend in with them, they would take you away. Now, who are these others? This I find to be very intriguing and should probably scare some people, because we don't realize a lot of things. You know, they changed a lot of the stuff on us. Let's just say it that way. The others are fairies. And a lot of you may know that fairies are not like Tinkerbell on Disney. They are, if you've, I'm not gonna say all the things, if you've read, if you're into witchcraft, if you're a Wiccan, if you're into mythology, if you even read the Bible, this should interest you, and a lot of you may know about this. But fairies away. And most of the time, if they took you away, you're not coming back. And also, they are, if you do come back, you're not going to be the same as you were. Like I said, this is all off the top of my head, so if anybody knows, this is from what I've read in the past and heard, so if I'm wrong in anything, please feel free to correct me, okay? So, that whole thing with the fairies really freaks me out because I don't think it happens anymore, obviously. I think it could in certain areas, maybe. I'm not sure. But I would have never expected fairies to be fallen angels. So, and I can go into more detail with that. I'm gonna have a series this month, as long as I can keep producing videos, about I'm gonna do fairy tales and mythology, folklore, whatever. And then I'm also gonna continue doing scary Reddit videos, and I even have some stories people sent in to me they want read anonymously because it really happened to them, they claim, and it is quite scary. So, I also believe that having grown up with if you're Hispanic, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? My best friend growing up was Mexican, and I knew a lot of her culture because I was always over at her house. So, and she taught me too. I also, I grew up around a lot of Hispanic people, and I was actually engaged to someone, a Mexican. So, I learned a lot about the culture, and that's why I speak a bit of Spanish. So, any of you who know, correct me if I'm wrong, but Halloween is also represents the Day of the Dead, where the dead come back, kind of like in that movie, what is it? Coco something. Can't remember, but I watched it twice. But basically, it's where dead relatives and family members, friends, they come back because the veil is thin to say hello. I actually think that's the same in Irish folklore, where they set the table for their deceased family members and friends, and that is a time that they sit and eat with them, or it's like they come to visit. I believe the Day of the Dead, which is basically Halloween, is the same concept. Their family comes to visit, the veils are thin between the worlds, and they celebrate because that's when their family and friends come to visit. I do believe that the veils are thin between the worlds or dimensions or something, because being born in October, I start to feel a difference in the air, or just this difference, and I like it because I love Halloween, but I start to feel a difference when Halloween comes closer and closer and closer. So I'm so sorry, guys. I feel like crap, but I need to quit complaining. So it's interesting to know that there's more than one culture that has these things, and it's like they're very different cultures. actually got me reading more. Some books that I probably would have put off reading. So, let me find a good story, and we'll go ahead with that, okay? Alright guys, this is good. I know I don't have to lean into my microphone, but I'm kind of worried. I hope that the quality is good, because it's getting a little annoying. But anyways, this right here is interesting, okay? So, introduction to Irish fairy tales and folklore. The fairy folk were always there, the Irish said. Let me just pause this. Okay, I just wanted to make it easier to read into the microphone. The folklore. The fairy folk were always there, the Irish said, in a dimension just beyond our own. Sometimes, though, they'd cross over to cast a spell or snatch a child. Mostly they stayed out of sight beneath the earth in little fairy mounds, or city, S-I-D-A-G. But the way these projected into the air above was a constant reminder of their presence close at hand. Hence, for the Irish poet Paul Muldoon to Ireland, it says something 2008, the central tenet of Irish imagination, that what you see is never what you get. That's a good one, I like that. Our earthly order and a more magical and mystic one are separated by appearance and inward reality, what I'm tempted to call irony. I think it's irony, or I don't know. It's spelled with an E though. Pushed to the margins. In industrializing Britain, even in the Germany of the Brothers Grimm, fairy tales became entertainment at an early date, and entertainment for children at that, even if it wasn't necessarily too difficult to find darker anxieties beneath the surface in such stories. In the English context, indeed, we see Shakespeare shaping the modern idea of fairyhood before our eyes in the cute and winsome spirits of A Midsummer's Dream, 1595. Okay, so Fairyland. Ireland was very different, an agrarian society, till very recently. Its people were influenced from day to day by factors, in parentheses, seasons, weather, harvests, crop failures, that were ceasing to affect more urbanized populations. fairies, and other cultures mostly weren't. Okay, so I'm not going. I'm going to find something else here. Give me one moment. Okay, I think I found one, and I really like this one, so let's read. This one is how Finn went to the kingdom of the big men. Now, if you know me, I'm just gonna give a little tidbit here. I read a book, and I have books on giants in America. Ancient giant skeletons found around the Americas and around the world. These were some of the first ASMR videos that I made, and if this interests you, because my whole point in that was, in almost every mythology, including the Bible, there is mention of giants, and a lot of the passages I was reading from those books contained, like, almost anywhere you live. I had one that almost anywhere you live in America, you can find where there have been found in the 1800s or prior. They have pictures and everything, maybe even near you where a giant skeleton was found. So Finn and his men were in the harbor of the hill of the house on a hillock, behind the wind and in front of the sun, where they could see every person and nobody could see them. When they saw a speck coming from the west, they thought at first it was the blackness of a shower, but when it came nearer, they saw it was a boat. It did not lower sail till it entered the harbor. There were 3 men in it, for one guide in the bow, one for steering in the stern, and one for the tackle in the sentry. They came ashore and drew it up 7 times its own length in dry gray grass, where the scholars of the city could not make it stock for derision or ridicule. They then went up to a lovely green spot, and the first lifted a handful of mound pebbles or shingle, and commanded them to become a beautiful house, that no better could be found in Ireland. And this was done. The second one lifted a slab of slate, and commanded it to be slate on the top of the house, that there was not better in Ireland. And this was done. The third one caught a bunch of shavings, and commanded them to be a pine wood and timber in the house, that there was not in Ireland better. And this was done. This caused much wonder to Finn, who went down there where the men were, and made inquiries of them, and they answered him. He asked whence they were or whither they were going. They said, "We are the heroes, the 3 heroes, whom the king of the big men has sent to ask combat of the Vians." He then asked, what was the reason for doing this? They said they did not know, but they heard that they were strong men, and they came to ask combat of heroes from them. Is Finn at home? He is not. Great is a man's leaning toward his own life. Finn then put them under the crosses and under enchantments, that they were not to move from the place where they were till they saw him again. He went away and made ready his coracle. I don't know what that is. Gave its stern to the land, and to prows to sea. Hoisted the spotted towering sails against the long, tough, lance-shaped mast, cleaving the billows in the embrace of the wind in whirls, with a soft, gentle breeze from the height of the sea coast, and from the rapid tide of the red rocks, that would take whilom from the hill, foliage from the tree, and heather from its stock and roots. Finn was guide in our prow, helm in our stern, and tackle in her middle, and stopping up the head or foot he did not make till he reached the kingdom of the big men. He went ashore and drew up his coracle in great grass. He went up, and a big wayfarer met him. Then asked who he was. I am, he said, the red-haired coward of the king of the big men. And said he to Finn, you are the one I am in quest of. Great is my esteem and respect towards you. You are the best maiden I have ever seen. You will yourself make a dwarf for the king. And your dog, this was Bran, a lapdog. It is long since the king has been in want of a dwarf and a lapdog. He took with him Finn, but another big man came and was going to take Finn from him. The two fought, but when they had torn each other's clothes, they left it to Finn to judge. He chose the first one. He took Finn with him to the palace of the king, whose worthies were high and nobles assembled to see the little man. The king lifted him upon the palm of his hand and went 3 times around the town with Finn upon one palm and Bran upon the other. He made a sleeping place for him at the end of his own bed. Finn was waiting, watching and observing everything that was going on about the house. He observed that the king, as soon as night came, rose and went out, and returned no more till morning. This caused him much wonder, and at last he asked the king why he went away every night and left the queen by herself. Why, said the king. Why do you ask? For satisfaction to myself, said Finn, for it is causing me much wonder. Now the king had a great liking for Finn. He never saw anything that gave him more pleasure than he did, and at last he told him, there is, he said, a great monster who wants my daughter in marriage, and to have half of my kingdom to himself, and there is not another man in the kingdom who can meet him but myself, and I must go every night to hold combat with him. Is there, said Finn, no man to combat with him but yourself? There is not, said the king, one who will hold war with him for a single night. It is a pity, said Finn, that this should be called the kingdom of the big men. Is he bigger than yourself? Never you mind, said the king. I will mind, said Finn. Take your rest and sleep tonight, and I shall go to meet him. Is it you, said the king? You would not keep half a stroke against him. When night came and all men went to rest, the king was for going away as usual, but Finn at last prevailed upon him to allow himself to go. I shall combat him, he said, or else he knows a trick. I think much, said the king, of allowing you to go, seeing he gives myself enough to do. Sleep you soundly tonight, said Finn, and let me go are so big and strong, I am quick and active. Tonight again, I shall stand myself in your place, or else a better hero than yonder one must come. He will kill you, said the king. I shall take my chance, said Finn. He went, and as happened the night before, he saw no one, and he began to pace backwards and forwards. He saw the sea coming in fiery kilns, and as a darting serpent, and that huge man came up. Are you here tonight again? Said he. I am, and this is my errand. When the queen was being put in the coffin, and the king heard the coffin being nailed, and the joiner's stroke, he broke his heart with pain and grief, and the parliament was sent to me to ask you to go home tonight till they get the king buried. The monster went this night also, roughly humming a song, and Finn went home when the time came. In the morning the king woke in a great anxiety and called out, My kingdom is lost, and my dwarf and lapdog are killed. And he greatly rejoiced that Finn and Bran were alive, and that he himself got rest after being so long without sleep. Finn went the third night, and things happened as before. There was no one before him, and he took to pacing to and fro. He saw the sea coming till it came back down. Below him, the big monster came up. He saw the little black speck, and asked who was there and what he wanted. I have come to combat you, said Finn. Finn and Bran began the combat. Finn was going backwards, and the huge man was following. Finn called to Bran, Are you going to let him kill me? Bran had a venomous shoe, and he leaped and struck the huge man with the venomous shoe on the breastbone, and took the heart and lungs out of him. Finn drew his sword, Mccool, cut off his head, put it on a hempen rope, and went with it to the palace of the king. He took it into the into the kitchen, and put it behind the door. In the morning the servant could not turn it, nor open the door. The king went down. He saw the huge mass caught in by the top of the head, and lifted it, and he knew it was the head of the man who was for so long a time asking combat for him, and keeping him from sleep. How at all, said he, has this head come here? Surely it is not my dwarf that has done it. Why, said Finn, should he not? Next night the king wanted to go himself to the place of combat, because, said he, a bigger one than the former one will come tonight, and the kingdom will be destroyed, and you yourself killed, and I shall lose the pleasure I take in having you with me. But Finn went, and that big man came, asking vengeance for his son, and to have the kingdom for himself, or equal combat. He and Finn fought, and Finn was going backwards. He spoke to Bran, Are you going to allow him to kill me? Bran winced and went and sat down on the beach. Finn was ever being driven back, and he called out to Bran. Then Bran jumped and struck the big man with the venomous shoe. The dog has a shoe. Okay. And took the heart and the lungs out of him. Finn cut the head off and took it with him, and left it in front of the house. The king awoke in great terror and cried out, My kingdom is lost, and my dwarf and lapdog are killed. Finn raised himself up and said, They are not. And the king's joy was not small when he went out and saw the head that was in front of the house. The next night a big hag came ashore, and the tooth in the door of her mouth would make a distaff. She sounded a challenge on her shield. You killed, she said, my husband and my son. I did kill them, said Finn. They fought, and it was worse for Finn to guard himself from the tooth than from the hand of the big hag. When she had nearly done for Bran struck her with the venomous shoe and killed her as he had done to the rest. Finn took with him the head and left it in front of the house. The king awoke in great anxiety and called out, My kingdom is lost, son of Finn, son of Art, son of the young High King of Erin, and it is time for me now to go home. It has been with much wandering out of my way that I have come to your kingdom, and this is the reason why I have come, that I might find out what injury I have done to you, or the reason why you sent the 3 heroes to ask combat from me, and bring destruction on my men. You never did injury to me, said the king, and I ask 1,000 pardons. I did not send the heroes to you. It is not the truth they told. They were 3 men who were courting 3 fairy women, and these gave them their shirts. And when they have on their shirts the combat of 100 men is upon the hand of every one of them, but they must put off the shirts every night, and put them back on the chairs, and if the shirts were taken from them, they would be next day as weak as other people. Finn got every honor in all that of the king could give him, and when he went away, the king and queen and the people went down to the shore to give him their blessing. Finn now went away in his coracle, and was sailing close by the side of the shore, when he saw a young man running and calling out to him. Finn came in close to the land with his coracle, and asked what he wanted. I am, said the young man, a good servant wanting a master. What work can you do, said Finn. I am, said he, the best soothsayer there is. Jump into the boat then. The soothsayer jumped in, and they went forward. They did not go far when yet another youth came running. I am, he said, a good servant wanting a master. What work can you do, said Finn. I am as good a thief as there is. Jump into the boat then. And Finn took with him this one also. They saw then a 3rd young man running and calling out. They came close to the land. What man are you, said Finn. I am, said he, the best climber that there is. I will take up 100 pounds on my back, in a place where a fly could not stand on a calm summer day. Jump in, and this one came in also. I have my pick of servants now, said Finn. It cannot be, but these will suffice. They went, and stop of head or foot they did not make till they reached the harbor of the hill of Howth. He asked the soothsayer what the 3 big men were doing. They are, he said, after their supper and making ready for going to bed. He asked a second time. They are, he said, after going to bed, and their shirts are spread on the back of the chairs. After a while, Finn asked him again, what are the big men doing now? They are, said the soothsayer, sound asleep. It would be a good thing if there was now a thief to go and steal the shirts. I would do that, said the thief, but the doors are locked and I cannot get in. Come, said the climber, on my back, and I shall put you in. He took him upon his back to the top of the chimney, and let him down, and stole their shirts. Finn went where the Vian band was, and in the morning they came to the house where the 3 big men were. They sounded a challenge upon their shields, and asked them to come out to combat. They came out many a day, said they. Have we been better for combat than we are today? And they confessed to Finn everything as it was. You were, said Finn, impertinent, but I will forgive you. And he made them swear that they would be faithful to himself ever after, and ready in every enterprise he would place before them. Okay, so I'm guessing I've heard of Finn Mccool before. I heard of him in a different story, so that one was quite interesting. I'm assuming that he is some brave hero that, is well known by the giants, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed